Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are thrilled to have a return appearance from Aaron Adamson. He is the founder and CEO of PPC Profit Pros. How you doing, Aaron?
Doing wonderful. Nice to be back. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. You brought in a colleague, friend, client, everything in between on that. Cherie Mills, she is the expedition leader and executive director of Compass Behavioral Health. How you doing there, Cherie?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, we're honored to do it. We'll start with you on this, Aaron. And as always, with my co-host, Kristen Fogel, she is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., now starting her third month of co-hosting with me, and what she doesn't know, she'll be taking over the job effective next week. Of course, there is no show next week, so then you're...
There you go, I'm in the clear for now.
There. We'll start with you. Aaron, what is the mission of your organization?
Our mission is to drive maximum profitability for our clients through expert PPC marketing. The core of our method is what I call the Profit Max system, which I've built over the last 20 years of working with some of the biggest brands in the world with some of the best technologies in the world. I bring that to the table now for brands that normally are a bit smaller and can't afford the $12 million a year that it costs for the certain core technology that I use on their behalf called Sky.
Right. So PPC, for those folks, pay-per-click. I know you've gone to the Googler and you were looking at it, but that's what it is pay-per-click on this. Kristen, you got questions for Cherie?
I do, yeah. So before we get into kind of how you've interplayed with Profit Pros, tell us a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, Compass Behavioral Health is located in Tustin, Orange County, and I like to say we're the best kept secret in Southern California, and Aaron's helping with that. We're a small employee-owned company that specializes in dialectical behavioral therapy. In fact, we're the first certified DBT Linehan Board of Certification certified program in the state of California. We specialize in treating suicidal and self-harming adolescents at a residential level of care, partial hospital, intensive outpatient, and outpatient program. Now, in the world of adolescent treatment, it's pretty much dominated by very, very large corporations that are owned by venture capitalist firms, like billion-dollar venture capitalist firms. And so the marketing funds that they have, we just really can't break through the noise and compete with as a small local employee-owned company. And so I just really feel like it's been one of the biggest blessings of this past year is having been introduced to Aaron and his company, because in the treatment of dialectical behavioral therapy, there's been a tremendous amount of celebrity press in terms of celebrities coming forward and talking about how DBT had saved their life. And so a lot of these programs out there are advertising that they provide DBT. And so it's really hard to break through that noise when they're really not trained nor are they certified. And we can get into that a little bit later in this, but I think that's a pretty good opening introduction.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump right into it too, if you don't mind, Kristen. So DBT, explain what it is. It's making a lot of headway, obviously. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Oprah's talked about it. Selena Gomez has come out and said it has immensely helped her, and so has Lady Gaga. I mean, it's just got a lot of press. So dialectical behavioral therapy was founded by Marsha Linehan, who is actually my Zen teacher. She's in recovery herself for a condition called borderline personality disorder. So she spent about 2 years on an inpatient unit as a young adult. And out of that experience, she had made herself a promise that if she got out, she would find a way to come back and help others and get them out too. And so she went on to get her PhD and to develop one of the most effective treatments for chronically suicidal, self-harming individuals. And that is dialectical behavioral therapy. And since then, the randomized controlled trials have been replicated across labs, across countries, with the strongest treatment outcomes for treating borderline personality disorder, but really pervasive emotion dysregulation. So I always tell my kids that the secret handshake into our club is big emotions, low emotion regulation skills.
So is DBT, is it a process? Is it, something that you go through treatment mentally, physically? Is there meds associated with it? Is it all of the above? Is it none of the above?
So it's a treatment for pervasive emotion dysregulation. And what I like to say is that our super sensors that the treatment really is designed for are manual transmissions in a world built for automatics. And so they just had the wrong driver's ed book in terms of how to drive themselves. So the curriculum is very skills-based. So it actually teaches how to regulate each of the 12 universal emotions. It teaches how to regulate behavior and increase self-awareness.
And so you have a therapist that's guiding you through this process then, this workbook, if you will.
So it's an evidence-based manualized treatment that requires a tremendous amount of training, and really certification is the gold standard to know if, I would say it's a second master's in terms of the amount of training that's involved. Because it is so popular right now, a lot of people advertise that they're providing it. And the disservice it does to chronically suicidal patients is they may be getting some watered down part of the research protocol and then not get effective treatment outcomes and then dismiss it as not effective for them. So we get a lot of kids and families from literally actually all our residential treatment all over the world where the kids have said, I've already tried DBT. I know it doesn't work for me. And that is really the biggest barrier we have as a certified DBT program, that it's like, well, you tried a skills training group with somebody that took, a day seminar, and the skills training is kind of the icing on the cake, but it's actually not the cake. So DBT is a behavioral therapy that has a hierarchy that it treats in individual therapy. It also has a skills training group, so that's kind of the driver's ed, and then the individual therapy is kind of like practicing with an instructor.
Right.
And then the kids have access to 24-hour skills coaching, which is just kind of behind the wheel training, which is when you're out there in real life, you can call me and get access to coaching to use the skills. And that's how we get skills generalization. So there are necessary components to actually be able to provide the treatment model.
No, it's great. We're chatting with Cherie Mills. She is the expedition leader and executive director of Compass Behavioral Health, joined by her friend, business associate, I'll call on this one, Aaron Adamson, the founder and CEO of PPC Profit Pros. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year. We're broadcast here at the Mission Fed Studios and Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed's been doing great things for San Diegans for more than 6 decades, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Aaron, we had a great interview the first time around. Really appreciate the content you provided. So when Cherie first reached out to you, did you know about her business?
No, I did not.
Okay, so she rings you up. Was it phone? Was it email? Was it carrier pigeon? How did she get smoke signals? How'd she get a hold of you?
Probably one of those, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, it was, how would you?
Direct referral from Alex.
Yeah, from Alex, basically. Yeah, it came. So Alex Polomero, he's the founder and CEO of a company called Nine Stone Marketing. And they are specialists in the area of CRM, customer relationship management systems. And so, every organization usually has a place they have to put all the people that they're trying to woo from lead into a sales, or in this case, a patient situation. So Alex was doing that, and then we've been working together on other projects because we're experts at bringing in very high quality leads and then bringing them into that CRM system. They have to be taken care of very well through that nurture process. And then we have to pull them out on the other side when they become a patient with, in this case, with revenue and so on. So we pull them back into our AI systems and optimize down to the keyword on profit maximization. That's why Nine Stone and Alex was involved, and he said he thought that Cherie and Compass could use our system and our help to drive more awareness, leads, sales, and grow profit.
Right, exactly. Is this the first group like Compass you've worked with, or have you worked many in that space?
No, this is unique.
Right, I was going to say.
Yeah.
It seems like it was. And then, so you first meet Aaron. Cherie's very impressive, obviously, for 16 different reasons on this. Your metrics for success are what?
Oh, that's a really great question. So in the world of residential treatment, it's, I think that Aaron kind of hit the nail on the head, and that's kind of a qualified, the word of marketing, it's called leads. We call it inquiries or interested families. So we're not the appropriate place for a lot of folks. And so really getting information to the right parents whose kids are struggling specifically with big emotions and low skills, especially suicide and self-harm as target behaviors. A lot of times these parents have been told they need DBT. And so being able to, and then there's a lot of DBT noise out there by untrained, unqualified providers. And so it really has been lovely to see that the right families are finding us, and we're really not having to use our limited resources as a small employee-owned company to field calls that are not appropriate for us, like for adults or for substance abuse. And so that's been really effective and helpful. So success would be the right families finding us, and the process going smoothly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kristen and I have been, chatting with, mental health has been at crisis proportions in this country for quite a while. It wasn't just the pandemic.
Since the invention of the smartphone.
I think it's since the invention of humans. But I mean, when we started walking upright. But 100% correct. You can really track
2009.
You absolutely can track it to that. And so we've had some of the folks on for the Palomar Health Family Counseling Service have just sent remarkable stories. They deal with youth pretty much. Is your wheelhouse on pretty much folks from a certain age to a certain age? I know it's those who are suicidal, but is it only below 18? Is it?
Yeah, it's 12 through 24.
Okay.
So our residential program is 12 to 17.
Yeah, and so is that growing, that population of folks that fall into this seriousness?
Are you talking about the current mental health epidemic with adolescents in the country?
Well, I know that's going,
yes,
but especially with suicide.
Oh, absolutely. COVID really, we saw an exacerbation in anxiety disorders, phobias, depression from the isolation. Absolutely.
Right, exactly. Kristen?
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit about how you got into this. So you said your Zen teacher, kind of came up with this out of her studies and everything like that. Is that where you first heard of it, or did you hear about it before and then, tell me the chicken and egg sort of situation?
Yeah, so I always knew I was going to be working with adolescents. I used to run an inpatient psych ward.
Okay.
And I had a new CFO that called me in and said, you need to decrease the recidivism rates in these length of stays and do a better job. And so this was 2004. And so I went out there and I researched, well, what treatment keeps patients out of the hospital and helps them not readmit, because it's a real common problem to have multiple admissions. And DBT had already had a number of randomized controlled studies at that time. It was developed in the early 90s.
Okay.
Actually the late 80s, but really the RCTs started happening, randomized controlled trials in the 90s. And so I went and I got trained, and I realized that the work was at the outpatient level of care, and it really was at ages 13, 14, and 15 before these kids started developing their identity around depression and suicide. And so I left the hospital And I started a practice, a DBT practice. I think probably maybe one of the first in Orange County. And in 2014, we opened up a clinic and put together a team. And now we have a residential program, and we have a training institute where we actually train other providers in DBT. In that process, I met Marcia at one of her Zen retreats. And I signed up for a 5-day silent meditation retreat, and I hadn't read the description of what happens. And so I just walked in and sat down and faced a wall for 5 days. I'd never done one before, so I had no idea what I had signed up for. But I became hooked on mindfulness as a practice and as the basic teachings of Zen. And Marcia was the Roshi there, and I just continued to attend her meditation retreats.
No, that's a great story. We come back from break. I want to talk more about that aspect of it, and then really dig a little bit into the your program as well. Aaron, I'm really curious about how you're scaling up the PPC marketing program. You started with inpatient, and now you're adding on outpatient. That's just an interesting, animal. I don't think we brought this up last time when we were chatting before. We did bring up, the success with Cherie's business as well, and want to, leave some time, as we always do in the second half of our Spotlight show. What can our listeners do to support your efforts? I mean, obviously, with you, Cherie, if you've got somebody that might fall into this, please contact us. You can give them some great advice of what's going on. And then certainly with you, Aaron, here's the services that we offer when we return. Chatting with Aaron Adamson, founder and CEO of PPC Profit Pros, joined by Cherie Mills, the expedition leader and executive director of Compass Behavioral Health. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 17th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, continuing to do great things for San Diegans for more than 6 decades, joined by Aaron Adamson, founder and CEO of PPC Profit Pros, and his colleague, client, everything in between, Cherie Mills, expedition leader and executive director for Compass Behavioral Health, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. So talk about this, now you're doing inpatient, now outpatient, you're working with folks like this. Did you ever think this is what you're going to be involved in when you started the company?
Absolutely, because every client is so different from each other. So I've gotten quite used to jumping into unfamiliar territory and getting as familiar as fast as I can. I think one of the most interesting things of working with Cherie is that, she's been very patient with my process of trying. And it's kind of like a dance. It's in the sense that I'm kind of trying to. They're like the Ferrari of what they do. And there's, as she said, there's a lot of noise out there. That's right. Mm-hmm. And people have low attention spans. And we're creating the keywords and the ad copy and the landing pages they have to speak to what she's doing, what their team are doing, and why they're doing it better than others that are just kind of doing kind of short shrift to it. And then we've got a market that is a lay market. Generally, they don't know. They're trying to solve these very painful problems that their teens are going through, and they're using certain keywords, and we have to, in a very short period of time, ad copy, landing page. We've got to, as visually as we can do it on that landing page, with very little text, we've got to communicate a lot of very important touch points, so that when they put that form in or they make that phone call, they know why they're the Ferrari, why they're in the right place for their teen. That's a big challenge. Mm-hmm. It's one that we love, though.
Well, you do it well. As you said, you're not just bringing leads, you're bringing A+++ leads, okay, that are going to translate into success, in Cherie's case on this. Before we get back to Kristen, I know she has some more questions for you, Cherie, but I do want to shout this out. And I know you're a Canuck because my mom was a Canuck, and you say process. You probably
That's the telltale sign.
Well, let me see if you get the right answer to this one. What's the last letter in the alphabet?
Z.
Thank you very much. So when you not Z, it's Z. I know this.
And your mom was from Saskatchewan, wasn't she?
Good memory. Yes. Well, that's right. Born in Regina. Exactly. Yeah. Lived in all over Medicine Hat and Flin Flon and all that.
Love
business.
It.
That's right.
Prairie girl.
Exactly. That's right. Dad was a Hudson Bay trader. She saw the Northern Lights and all that business. But
wow.
It's not about me, but tell a story about the green card. I think that's a very great story that you've been awarded a pathway to get your green card, correct?
Oh, yeah, I have. They've just run out, so I'm waiting to get more.
But there's a reason why, because of your exceptional work in your business.
Yeah, so there's kind of two ways to get a green card. There's family-based, you kind of marry in, or you have a family member.
Right.
And there's employment-based, So I went, it's called EB2. You have to have a business, and you have to prove a couple of things. You got to prove that you're exceptional in your background, your education. You have to prove that your business is of national importance. Wow. And no other business and no other person can do what you do in the entire United States. So a little kind of challenging.
Tall order, yeah.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, congratulations, because you certainly do that. And, we certainly figured that out when you were on last time. So that is just a great honor. I know you're humble. And Drew, you weren't supposed to bring that up. But no, I think it is. Kristen, more questions for Cherie?
I do, yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated by the type of work you do, and it's so important. And obviously very personal work you're doing too. So I think, as Drew says, without violating any HIPAA laws, do you have a story you can tell us about how your work has changed individuals?
Yeah. So, DBT was really designed to treat really kind of the most hopeless people. We had taken a kid off an inpatient unit. Typically, the average length of stay is about 7 days for an inpatient unit. And there was a kid that had been there for 3 months.
Wow.
And it was because she was so life-threatening that there wasn't anybody willing to take this kiddo. And so, of course, we really opened up our program to take exactly this type of kid that was this hopeless and in this level of need.
Yeah.
And so we were able to take that kiddo and stabilize her outside a locked unit.
Wow.
And really teach her emotion regulation skills. And when I asked her, what has made the biggest difference, she told me the ability to regulate my emotions and to know what I'm feeling and to know how to regulate what I'm feeling has made all the difference in terms of moving from hopelessness to hope.
And you think about, that one case there, we say this quite a bit on the Spotlight show, Cherie, is Yeah, you absolutely changed that person, but you changed that person's family and that person's family's family and the relatives and the aunts and the uncles and the pets and all that business. And, what I love telling these stories, whether it's in the world you work in or Alzheimer's or Huntington's disease, yes, it's the patient you're dealing with, but the tentacles that because of that success is got to be pretty heartwarming because it's not just that one person you've worked with, correct?
No, it's absolutely the entire family. Our parents very much have PTSD from having a chronically suicidal teenager.
Can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. And, we had recently, I don't think you were co-hosting yet at the time. We had a gentleman who was, I think, a retired general, and he works in the space of military suicides. And his goal, God was so magnanimous when he was talking, is to reduce military suicides by 50% in about 5 years.
Wow.
You listen and, just like what you're dealing with. And, and there's a process and they go through X, Y, and Z because military suicide has never been so high in this world as is some of the youth suicides, that aspect. So I think it's so important to get that out and talk about it. Aaron, what can our listeners do to support the great work you're doing and, elevate it, amplify it, or whatever?
Help me with emotion regulation. That story really moved me.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Beautiful work. Basically, they can just reach out to us at ppcprofitpros.com. We do this thing where we like to put together a profit projection for them, and it's kind of like a bit of a crystal ball to see what profit can be attained from going to PPC marketing. A lot of folks are more traditional in their marketing, so we like to show them how much how it can elevate their business and grow their profits. And then we take a step back. If that's interesting to them and captivates them, then we can take a step back and talk about how do we do that? And how do we do that in a custom way for your brand? So that's just come to the website.
But the breadth of your, of what you do, from working with people that do X to working with folks, like Cherie is huge. And so kudos to you on that.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, you bet. Cherie, what can we do to support your efforts?
Yeah, I think that if you have a family member or a friend that is struggling with suicide and self-harm and needs treatment, and are looking into DBT, to just know that there is a website, DBT Linehan Board of Certification website. It really is set up for consumers so you as families know that this person has been trained and certified in this evidence-based treatment that is the most effective. One of the most harmful things we're seeing is these really hopeless kids thinking that they got the right treatment, but they really didn't. And then it just creates more hopelessness.
It certainly does. How do they get a hold of you? You have email?
Yeah, mycompassnow.com is our website.
Right. Very, very good. And what's yours, Aaron?
ppcprofitpros.com.
Well, Aaron, good seeing you again. Thanks for coming in and bringing in Cherie. What you do is, my goodness, I don't know how you don't get goosebumps talking about it. And congratulations to you and what you're doing and your success as well.
Thank you.
We're going to ask Aaron to bring in other clients too, that because I'd love to hear the beneficiaries of people that come in and are doing these things, whether it's PPC Profit Pros or it's with somebody else doing some great stuff. So kudos to both of you. Kristen, as always, appreciate you as co-hosting the show, and hope everybody enjoyed another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show as we were chatting with our friends from PPC Profit Pros and Compass Behavioral Health. We are brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for more than 6 decades.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.